Shocking truth. These 6 sitting habits could kill you before 40. Don't risk it anymore. The world is a crazy place, but the scariest things can sneak up on you when you least expect it. Picture this. You're just chilling on your couch, binge watching your favorite show, and suddenly bam! You've been sitting wrong, and no one even told you. Researchers say it could lead to serious health issues, like heart disease, or even an early grave. Can you even wrap your head around that? You're just trying to relax, but your comfy position might be plotting against you. Have you ever heard of death by desk? Imagine thousands of office workers glued to their chairs, each one thinking they are just fine as they zone out over spreadsheets or emails. But what they don't realize is that stretching your legs or standing can be a matter of life and death. A study showed that for every hour you sit, life expectancy reduces by a whopping 22 minutes. Crazy, right? It's like a ticking clock in the back of your mind, reminding you that every moment spent slumped in that seat is a moment you can't get back. The tension in the air is thick, almost tangible. You could almost hear a collective gasp whenever someone finds out the numbers: rising obesity rates, increased risks for diabetes, and a silent epidemic sweeping across the nation. People start exchanging worried glances, their expressions an unsettling mix of disbelief and fear. It's not just you, it's everyone. I've got to change my ways, someone murmurs, tightening their grip around the coffee cup as if holding on to hope. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Now, back to our chilling reality. Just when you think you've heard it all, a new statistic slams down like a hammer. Sitting for more than 6 hours a day can cut your lifespan shorter than you can imagine. A shiver runs down your spine as you picture every workday that has passed in a blur of chair sitting. And what about those late-night gaming marathons? They aren't harmless anymore. With the flick of a switch, your seemingly innocent hobbies turn into health-time bombs. Just how many of those are around you right now? The air feels heavy as people mull over their choices, faces pale with the realization. Each one of those habits sparks a fierce urgency, and suddenly, everyone is contemplating movement. Will it be worth it to risk their lives for the comfort of that cushion one more time, or will they jump up today to break the cycle? A question hangs in the air, and it's unsettling. Are you next? The room buzzed with tension, an electric current coursing through the crowd gathered in front of the presenter. Eyes darted around nervously, their pupils dilated with the weight of what they had just learned. You could almost hear hearts racing, pulsing in rhythm with the intrusive truth they just heard. The room felt smaller, like a claustrophobic bubble closing in with each passing second. Among the murmurs, Jason fidgeted in his chair. He had always been the type to lounge for hours, justifying it with the demands of his job. I'll change, he thought, reluctant to even believe the urgency resonating in the air. His friend Sarah, seated next to him, bit her lip, glancing at the clock ticking down the seconds. A voice cut through the chaos, raising alarms in their minds. Has anyone considered what we sacrifice for the sake of comfort? The speaker stepped forward, eyes scanning the crowd. We can't ignore the warnings, people. Every hour spent sitting adds weight to your coffin. The room fell silent, collective breaths held. It was as if a spell had been cast. The stark reality struck like hammer to glass. 15 years could be taken from your life this way. He pointed at Jason. How much time do you waste on Facebook and Instagram while sitting at your desk? 20 minutes? An hour? The clock is ticking. There were gasps, whispers rising amongst attendees. Each word felt like a gnawing reminder that their choices weren't innocent indulgences. They were potential death sentences. Anxiety spiraled, morphing the space into an urgent battlefield where the war against comfort was being fought. Jason could feel the heat of his shame radiating. He looked at Sarah, who mirrored his internal struggle. If I get a standing desk, will that change everything? Can I turn back time? The creeping agony of realization clawed at his stomach, a lamenting twist that wouldn't he let go. Let us not just sit here idle. The passionate voice was back, strong and unwavering. It's time to get up. Move around. It doesn't take much. Take the stairs, walk at lunch. And when you get home, turn off the screens. Go outside. Find a way to reclaim your life. His command pealed like the crack of thunder amid the storm. A ripple started, that first seed of movement. Excited murmurs turned into cautious laughter, and feet shuffled unsteadily. Jason felt compelled to stand, joining the wave that swept through the crowd, a mix of hope and confusion bubbling within him. Underneath the surface, however, dread lingered. What if it was too late? What if the damage was already done? Their collective reaction hung in the air like a bitter aftertaste. Just how deep were they immersed in danger, and could breaking free truly save them? The presenter's voice echoed as they started a group pledge to change their habits, but Jason's heart raced faster than his mind could keep pace. One final question loomed large in his consciousness. What happens when you're forced to confront not just habits, but hidden truths lurking deeper within? Are they the real enemies? As they formed a new resolve, Jason couldn't shake off that shadow that haunted him. The path to breaking the cycle had just begun, and it could lead to unforeseen revelations. Would he be ready to face them when they emerged? The room pulsated with a newfound energy, a restless sea of bodies shifting, but beneath it all, Jason's mind churned. He had stood, yes, but he felt more lost than liberated, and his heart hammered like a drum in a frantic march. Around him, the flickering lights reflected the eager faces of his fellow attendees, but in his gut, an unsettling weight settled, like a stone cast into icy water. Do you hear that? Sarah's whisper cut through his thoughts, her brow furrowed in concern. The energy in the room dipped, replaced by a notable silence. It was no longer about motivation. A shadow of fear crept back in. It's like we've awakened the beast, Jason muttered. He could see the fear morphing into panic among people. They had moved from desiring change to imagining doom, and the madness of their own choices tightened like a noose. The presenter, feeding off their nervousness, spoke with fervor. Your comfort zones are death traps. You think you're safe, but the danger lies in every sedentary minute you allow. His voice reverberated, sending another chill down Jason's spine as the words echoed off the walls. 15 years. 15 years. Jason echoed to himself, feeling a sharp jolt. Each minute spent seated was merely a wasted moment. It was a flicker in time. Every choice, a potential step toward oblivion. What were they all willing to risk for simplicity? A woman near the front trembled visibly, her hands clasped tightly around her coffee cup, as though drawing strength from the simple object. I can't leave my job. What if they think I'm slacking off? Her voice was almost a whimper, and Jason could sense her panic rising. It was infectious. Hey, Jason called softly, hoping to ground her and himself. We've got to face this, right? We can't ignore it. But the effort felt hollow even as he spoke. What if they were too deep into escape? Exactly. The presenter seized the moment, rallying the crowd. Embrace the challenge. Everyone, grab a partner. You'll need each other to face the harsh truths of your lives. Murmurs erupted again, louder this time, and people shuffled awkwardly as they paired up. Jason turned to Sarah, who grabbed his arm, her grip tight. What if we can't handle it? She whispered, and Jason could see a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Without a word, they moved away from the group, searching for a quieter space. "We can do this. Focus on each other," he said with forced cheerfulness, but his voice was betraying his uncertainty. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. Just for a moment, the room plunged into darkness, and a hushed awe swept through the crowd. Then they returned, but something was off. An electric hum of tension filled the air. Was it his imagination, or was there something lurking in the corners of the room, just beyond their sight? The speaker, seemingly unfazed, continued, his shadow dancing across the walls like a specter. "In this moment of madness, focus. Focus on what you can become." He laughed suddenly, an eerie sound that twisted Jason's stomach. "But are you ready to confront the demons that are keeping you chained?" Jason's heart dropped as he caught a glimpse of something flash in the presenter's eyes, a glimmer of something dark, unsettling. It was unsettling enough to make him shiver. "What if these truths are worse than we think?" Sarah whispered, biting her lip. He could only nod, a cold lump forming in his throat. The path they had embarked on was no longer just about habits. It was about facing hidden truths, potentially dangerous secrets festering beneath the surface. What if they were about to uncover something they weren't prepared for? Unease dripped from the walls, and as the room thrummed with anxious chatter, Jason felt sweat trickle down his back. There was an unspoken question within that crowd, a dark thirst for answers that lingered at the edges. What horrors lay waiting just out of sight? "Are we really ready for what comes next?" he thought, dread pooling in his stomach. And the answer loomed larger than life, shrouded in complexity. Was it too late to turn back? Before Jason could catch his breath, the lights flickered again, this time plunging the room into an ominous darkness that felt suffocating. The silence deepened, wrapping around them like a thick fog. Murmurs began to ripple through the crowd, a blend of confusion and rising fear. "Stay close," he heard Sarah's soft voice close to his ear. Her breath felt warm, a fragment of comfort amidst the escalating tension. He felt her tighten her grip, and it was all he could do to not reciprocate, not let her feel how his palms were slick with sweat. When the lights blared back to life, Jason's eyes immediately went to the presenter. But instead of the familiar figure, there was something altogether unsettling. The man stood frozen, his features twisted in an unnatural smile that only accentuated the feeling of dread in the air. "Do you feel it?" he spoke, voice sharper than before. "The connection between your comfort and your deepest insecurities? You're facing something much worse than just a late-night snack habit." His laughter sliced through the atmosphere like glass. Jason felt a tremor shudder through the crowd. "What is happening?" he thought, heart racing. They didn't just sign up for a seminar, they had entered a psychological battleground. "Let us talk about your fears," the presenter continued, his tone dripping with dark amusement. "What lies beneath your choices?" Suddenly, the lights flickered again, revealing fleeting flashes of people's faces, horror, confusion, some masked in disbelief. "What are we supposed to do?" someone shouted from the back, striking a chord of anxiety that ricocheted around the room like a pinball. "Is this a joke?" "Not a joke, my friend, but a reckoning." The presenter's voice rose, booming off the walls, each syllable striking like a hammer. "You must face what you fear within. Select another partner, and let us uncover what you're really hiding." Panic surged anew, and Jason could feel Sarah's pulse quicken against his arm. He caught her gaze, and there was no escaping the uncertainty mirrored in her eyes. "Should we be doing this?" she asked, her voice trembling as much as the hands gripping her coffee cup. "Maybe this isn't just about work," he admitted, visions of buried memories surfacing in his mind. What if these truths could unravel threads of their lives they weren't ready to confront? A rustle from the crowd signaled a shift as people grappled for reassurance in a connection, any connection. They moved like moths around a flame drawn to the terror and necessity of revealing their vulnerabilities. Jason swallowed hard, shaking his head slightly. He wasn't ready to face anything profound yet, the mere thought making his stomach churn. Still, he couldn't just stand still, frozen by fear. Let us just take a breath, he suggested, lowering his voice as he led Sarah to the corner of the room, away from the chaos. The air felt thick. Every breath was heavy with tension. Silence surrounded them, barraging them with echoes of potential truths they were desperately trying to dodge. Suddenly, a loud crash erupted near the front, sending a wave of gasps through the crowd. Jason's heart lurched as the shadows in the corners deepened. A table had toppled over, revealing a woman who seemed frozen, back pressed against the wall, face pale as she clutched her phone live streaming. "Are you people serious?" she shouted, eyes wide, between panic and disbelief. "You're all here for self-improvement, but you're stuck in the convenience of your own lies." Jason's breath caught. There was something raw and visceral in her words that struck right at the heart of the seminar's message. Everyone fidgeted and murmured, their anxiety now blossoming outward, scandalizing the fragile bubble the presenter had so carefully orchestrated. "Maybe she's right," Sarah whispered, her voice small but firm. "What if we're not ready?" A dark shudder coursed through Jason, mingling with the raw energy in the room. He dared to glance over his shoulder, catching the presenter staring at the altercation with an amusement that sent a chill down his spine. "Are we truly prepared to confront ourselves?" he thought again. "Or will we all just break apart instead?" With a sudden resolve rising in his chest, he turned to Sarah, eyes burning with urgency. "We have to find out the truth together." Outside, a storm brewed, mirroring the chaos within. As they prepared to step back into the fray, a sense of foreboding clung to them like a shroud. What would they uncover? And at what cost? The path ahead twisted into shadows, riddled with fear and uncertainty. Could they emerge on the other side, or were they destined for this darkness forever? The chaos in the room transformed into a roar of voices, an overwhelming cacophony of nerves unraveling. Jason felt his heartbeat race, thrumming in time with the escalating panic of the crowd. Sarah's grip tightened on his forearm, her knuckles white in the bright lights now blazing overhead. "Jason, what if we're not meant to be here?" she whispered, her eyes darting around as though searching for a way out. "I don't know," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "But if we leave now, what if we miss something? What if the sound of the presenter's hypnotic voice cut through his thoughts once more? Embrace the chaos, my friends. The truth is under your skin. It's time to peel back those layers." He paced to the center of the room, his manic energy shocking against the backdrop of rising dread. The audience was caught in a trance, faces illuminated, emotions flickering between fear and curiosity. Would they truly confront their darkest corners tonight? Jason's heart sank as he pondered what lay beneath his own surface. Memories flashed, hurts he'd buried, failures he'd never acknowledged. He felt cold sweat prickle at his back. "Choose your partners," the presenter commanded, eyes gleaming with unhinged excitement. "Let us transcend the ordinary." The crowd shuffled, each person searching for someone to share their fears with, dragging Jason and Sarah into the whirlwind of uncertainty. He froze for a moment as people began hastily pairing off, their eyes wide with the weight of unspoken truths. "What if we just tell each other what we fear?" Sarah proposed, her voice steady despite the tension around them. "Okay," Jason breathed, feeling gravity shift around him. "What do you fear?" As Sarah opened her mouth, the front doors burst open violently. A gust of wind swept through, scattering papers like autumn leaves, and in strode a new figure. The room stilled, all eyes glued to the intruder, a tall woman with long dark hair and a bright red trench coat that billowed behind her. She surveyed the room with a fierce intensity, lips curled in a sardonic smile that held a knowing glimmer. "Listen up, everybody," she called, and her voice echoed in the stillness. You think you're diving deep into your psyches? This is just a warm-up. The presenter's eyes flared as he confronted her. Who are you? This is not your stage. Her laughter was sharp, mocking. Stage? No, darling, this is your last chance. Before I expose your secrets to everyone. Fear cascaded through the room, a tangible wave that left Jason breathless. The woman stepped forward, the energy shifting. Something in her words felt raw and true, almost electrifying. Let me help you, she continued, the bravado softening for a moment. You want truths? I'll give you truths you didn't even know you were hiding. Jason's gaze flitted to Sarah, confusion warring with curiosity in their mingled expressions. This was too surreal, too dangerous. As the presenter sputtered his indignation, the woman raised her hand, silencing him. But be warned. Once you choose to confront what you really hide, it may consume you. Jason's stomach sank. What did that mean? What would they have to confront? The room buzzed with tension, the sense of a storm about to break open. Are you ready for your awakening? She challenged, daring them to respond. The crowd stood suspended in disbelief, breaths held. Jason felt urgency clawing at him, an instinctual pull toward revelation. Together? He asked Sarah, hope flaring beneath the weight of dread. Only if we're prepared for what comes next, she replied, voice steady against the growing storm. As the clash of wills intensified at the front, Jason stepped forward, his resolve hardening. The choices they made tonight would define their futures. A flicker of danger, flashing like a storm over the horizon. I choose to face it, he declared, feeling a surge of defiance wash over him. Whatever it is. But would they find solace or destruction at the end of their journey? With hearts racing, Jason and Sarah faced the unknown together, their thoughts swirling, echoing the storm. Outside, secrets lay in wait, hidden like predators stalking prey. What if it's worse than we think? Sarah's question cut through the air like a knife. Then we're ready, Jason replied as dread hung thick. The battle for truth was only beginning. But what horrors awaited them in the depths? The woman's smile widened, a sharp glint of mischief dancing in her eyes as she surveyed the frightened crowd. Very well, Jason. You've chosen. But remember, truth has teeth. At her words, the air thickened. An electric current weaved through the audience, intertwining fear with a surge of bravery. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, a warning ringing relentlessly in Jason's ears. As if sensing the tension, she stepped closer to him and Sarah, her trench coat swirling with her movements. Now, let us uncover your truths. Who wants to go first? Her thick accent punctuated the heavy atmosphere, teasing revelations that lingered just out of reach. The audience shifted uneasily, whispered conversations ricocheting off the walls. Jason's pulse quickened. The eyes of the crowd, strangers, friends, or even enemies, pierced through him, demanding his focus. What do we do? Sarah whispered, a tremor lacing her voice. Maybe we should, he started, but another gust of wind burst through the doors, relaxing the tension momentarily as a chill swept through the room. The lights flickered. Suddenly, the light surged brighter, bathing the room in an ethereal glow. Every eye was fixed on the woman now, who seemed to draw energy from the chaos like a predator reveling in its imminent hunt. I'll help you choose, she declared, a dramatic flare shrouding her voice. What do you hide the most? Your deepest regret? Your shame? Your secrets? Jason felt as if the ground beneath him had shifted. Each question she posed gnawed at him, relentless in their urgency. Memories buzzed through his mind, faces of loved ones, patterns of mistakes, paths not taken. Let us expose it. After all, she leaned in, her face sober now. Honesty, my friends, has a price. The crowd gasped, a chorus of surprise mingling with fear. That single sentence ricocheted off each individual's psyche, piercing through dares and disguises. What did honesty cost them? Jason's breath hitched. He turned to Sarah, their eyes meeting in an unsaid agreement. They both knew that diving into the truth could fracture what they held dear or set them free. The woman continued, just one step. One decision. It will all unravel. What do you fear the most? A voice broke through, shaky yet determined. I fear my failure. But what good will it do to lay it bare? Jason glanced toward the speaker. A man standing near the back, his face pale, yet he gripped a deep-seated courage. His confession hung like a banner, echoing through the room and igniting a spark among the attendees. See? That essay start, the woman urged, her tone now almost coaxing, welcoming the rising emotions. Each truth shared brings you closer to your freedom. Jason felt his heart hammer against his chest. It was like a trapdoor opening beneath him, frightening yet enticing. He wanted to know where this path would lead, but fear chained him. Just do it, Sarah said, her voice grounding him. We can't go back now. I fear, he finally stammered, losing everyone I love. The thought before he could finish, the woman raised her hand again, silencing him. Good. You've made a choice. Now, let us unleash the truth. Let us expose what is hidden. The lights flickered dangerously. The air rippled around them, thickened with unsaid words almost begging to escape. Jason's chest tightened. From those shadows, what truths lingered? In that moment, the crowd began to murmur, voices overlapping, each raw confession building to a clamoring crescendo. Together they were forging a path into chaos, and Jason felt a rush of adrenaline. But as secrets bled into the open, a darkness loomed. The woman's grin faded, replaced by a predatory glare. Remember, revelations have consequences. Are you ready for the aftermath? The room shifted with unease, their tentative courage shaken again by what awaited them. Questions loomed larger than ever. What truths could destroy them? What edges would be lost in the tumult? Jason glanced at Sarah, finding both fear and fierce determination mirrored in her eyes. Together let us face this storm, he breathed, steeling himself against the impending tide of revelations. But even as he felt that urge, a small voice inside whispered doubts. What if the truth was a monster, lurking in their shadows, ready to pounce? This is just the beginning, the woman hissed, bringing an unexpected chill as she leaned closer, one last taunt lingering in the charged air. What will you unleash next? As a clap of thunder resonated outside, drowning out the thoughts in his mind, Jason realized one thing. They were standing at the precipice of their fates, and there was no turning back now. What awaited them on the other side of this truth? A crack of thunder rumbled ominously, shaking the rafters of the old building. The electricity in the air intensified, sending shivers down Jason's spine. He felt the weight of anticipation pressing on him, the kind that churns your stomach and raises the hairs on your arms. As murmurs began to die down, the woman surveyed the crowd, her cold gaze penetrating the layers of their bravado. You all stand on the edge of everything you buried. Are you ready to dive in? Her voice was honey-coated poison, sweet yet deadly, a riddle that could unravel everything. The man with the fading courage, who had spoken before, now stepped forward again, his voice trembling with fear. What if the truth destroys us? That, she said, her lips curling into a smile, is the true beauty of truth. It exposes, yes, but it also liberates. Jason's heart raced at her words. Could liberation even come from pain? Each heartbeat felt like it punctuated the sobering reality. Some truths might not end in freedom, but devastation. Let me show you, she exclaimed. With a flourish of her hand, the lights flickered once more, illuminating dark corners and creating harsh shadows. Faces were washed in stark light and heavy darkness, revealing a medley of emotions: fear, guilt, defiance, and anticipation. Tonight, you will each share your truth, she commanded, her voice echoing through the space. And with each confession, We will uncover more than just what lies within you. We'll reveal the webs of deceit you've spun around your lives. It is time to cut those strings. Jason could see those words hang heavily in the air. They clung to the audience like fog, twisting at their insides, and yet he found himself inexplicably drawn to her challenge. The audience held their breath, the tension building into an unbearable peak. Who will step up? She continued, the thrill of anticipation more intoxicating than the room's oppressive dread. A young woman near the front, her hands twisting nervously in her lap, broke the silence. I'll go first, she said, her voice quiet but fiercely resolute. I've hidden the truth about my sister for too long. Gasps erupted around the room, and Jason felt a chill run through him. What had this girl hidden? As she spoke about betrayal and family secrets, a small piece of relief punctured Jason's worries. The woman's taunts were pulling back the curtains. This was real pain, shared openly. But as the woman listened, the glee in her expression melted away, replaced by something darker. You think that's a confession? She purred. That's just the appetizer. There's more at stake here tonight. Jason's stomach dropped. He swallowed hard. Sarah squeezed his hand, echoing his silent tremors. Is this really happening? She whispered, fear lacing her voice. Yes, he said breathlessly. But we need to know what is next. The woman seemed to sense their growing anxiety. Every piece of truth shared peels back another layer of your facade, she warned, tilting her head. But you must confront the darkness attached to those truths. Who will you sacrifice to face it? Something flickered within Jason. The idea of sacrifice made his heart pound. He could feel desperation clawing at his chest as he fidgeted with his own fears. Don't let the fear dictate your fate, the woman urged, her eyes narrowing, compelling him to step forward. You want to understand your truths? You will have to face the darkest corners of your hearts. That challenge hung in the air, electric and palpable, connecting them all through shared fear. Are you willing to take that leap? Each second stretched into the next, filled with a weight of unspoken confessions. The crowd remained frozen, but Jason could hear his heart pounding louder than any whispered secret. The moment had come to choose secrets or truths. As the first drops of rain began to drum against the roof, Jason felt his resolve crystallize. He stepped forward, the murmurs of the crowd blistering around him, daring him to take the plunge into the unknown. Maybe I should, he started, words escaping like a shot in the dark. I fear, but before he could finish, a loud crash punctuated the night. A window shattered nearby, and everyone gasped, turning toward the sound. Guess the storm is upon us, the woman said, her smile returning with a dangerous edge. What will happen when the storm meets the truth you hide? Jason's breath hitched. What awaited them in these vicious winds of honesty? Would it be salvation or ruin? Nothing was certain as he prepared to step into that storm, the fury of his own fears raging behind him. Would they come out whole, or be swept away? He locked eyes with Sarah, and in that instant he realized they were in this together, no matter what lay ahead. And as the winds howled louder, chaos threatening to swallow them whole, Jason felt the boundaries of everything he knew begin to blur. What price would he pay to uncover the truth? Jason's heart raced as he stood at the precipice of revelation, the thrumming of rain drowning out the tension in the room. The remnants of panic washed over him in waves, each heartbeat reminding him of what's at stake. He could feel the storm outside, relentless and heaving, mirroring the turmoil brewing within. The woman's gaze remained fixed on him, a glimmer of challenge in her eyes. Don't you want to be free? She pressed, the words gliding across the room. What truth buries itself inside you, clawing for release? What skeleton lurks in your shadows? The crowd surrounded him, faces lit with a mix of hope and dread. Each person in attendance carried their own burdens, secrets scratched raw under the surface of polished facades. Jason could sense the collective breath they were holding, waiting for him to find courage, to reveal something profound. But underlying the tension was despair, an undercurrent of fear for what would happen if they dared. Sarah's grip tightened, her fingers woven tightly with his, a lifeline in the storm. "You don't have to," she whispered urgently but softly, her voice barely escaping her lips. But was that the truth? Did he want to walk away from confronting his deepest fears? The answer bubbled up, insistent and undeniable. He did want to be free. "I'm afraid of becoming my father," Jason finally confessed, the words breaking from him like shattered glass. They hung in the thick air, prickly and stinging. Gasps rippled through the crowd, as the weight of his admission echoed, amplifying the fear within himself. Memories flooded back, the rage, the alcohol, the careless anger. He had watched as his father as demons devoured him whole, and now he worried that they would claim Jason too. "Say more," the woman urged, her voice smooth as silk. "What does that fear entail?" Jason swallowed hard. "I don't want to hurt the people I love, like he did." "I then face it," she interrupted, her voice rising as thunder rolled outside. "What makes you feel that way? What won't you confront?" A repulsion churned in his gut. The endless string of arguments, the empty bottles on countertops, the shouting matches that spiraled out of control. "I've hidden," he hesitated, his breath catching. "I've hidden my true self. I don't let anyone in because I'm afraid they'll see the monster inside me." A lady in the back whispered, "You're not a monster." But Jason could only focus on the weight of his fears, not how they reflected on others but on himself. The woman chuckled softly, a sound like a creaking door, echoing with dark amusement. "Ah, but don't you see? The monster within is the truth you must acknowledge." Her eyes glinted, hungry for the drama unfolding. "When you own your fear, you own your strength. Who else is waiting?" As she spoke, Jason felt faint. A truth was clawing its way to the surface, laying claim over him. What if his voice was barely above a whisper? What if the truth changes everything? What if it tears apart the people I care about? The woman's expression shifted to one of sinister delight. "Then it is time to face those consequences. Who will you sacrifice to confront what could lift that weight off your shoulders?" A gasp ran through the crowd, a collective intake of breath, a shared unease. In that moment, Jason realized it wasn't just him standing in the rain. Others were hiding behind walls of their own. Each one bore burdens of shame, doubts, fears that chained them. He looked back to Sarah, who was watching him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Her vulnerability urged him to push forward, to break free from the confines of his silence. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently, making shadows dance against the walls. A loud crack of thunder drowned out his voice, and in the chaos, a figure burst through the entrance, soaked, wild-eyed, a silhouette of desperation. "Stop!" the newcomer screamed. "You can't go through with this." Jason's heart sank. Who was this person? What had they brought with them? In that split second, everything hung in balance, the atmosphere electric, thick with a sense of impending doom. Could he trust what lay ahead in this tumultuous moment? Just as quickly, uncertainty slammed deep into his gut, compelling him to confront yet another layer of truth. What storm had just walked through that door? The figure stood, drenched and trembling, the storm outside closing in like a living, breathing creature. Jason squinted through the darkness, trying to make out familiar features, but finding none. The stranger's hair was matted to their forehead, rainwater dripping from the ends like tears. "Who are you?" Jason called, his voice straining against the crackle of thunder. "I'm someone who knows the truth," the newcomer shouted, their eyes searching the crowd as if hoping to find allies among strangers. "I shouldn't have come, but I didn't know what else to do. You have to listen. There's more at stake here than you realize." The crowd murmured, eyes darting between Jason and the newcomer. Jason felt a chill creep along his spine, an awful mix of foreboding and intrigue. This was not just about him anymore, and deep down, he could feel the tension pulse among the attendees. "Please," the new arrival continued, desperation bleeding through every word. "You need to understand. What you're about to do could have consequences that extend far beyond your own life. You think you're the only one with skeletons? You're not." "What do you mean?" Sarah interjected, stepping closer to Jason, her hand still gripping his tightly. "Jason," the stranger said, locking eyes with him, "you don't know everything. It's not just your fears you're carrying. There's a legacy that's chasing you. Your family, it's been destroyed, and you're standing at the edge of the same cliff. You could end it all right now, or you could slip too." A collective gasp echoed, the weight of silence hanging heavy as the truth spilled from the stranger's lips. Jason felt the room close in on him. What was this person talking about? Every word seemed to strike him with the force of a thunderclap. "Your father's rage was inherited," the figure said, relentless in their accusation. "And you're not alone in this. It's larger than you think, Jason." He shook his head. No, that can't be true. I can't be like him." His voice trembled. "Can't or won't?" The stranger pressed, undeterred. "What if the real truth is that you've been running from yourself all along? What if the monster isn't just in your psyche, but in the very DNA that binds you to your past?" Jason's heart thundered violently as he began to piece together what the stranger was implying. Was there a truth buried deeper than even his own fears? He glanced at Sarah, whose wide eyes mirrored his own rising panic. "Enough." The mysterious woman finally broke the tension, her voice sharp like glass. "Truth has its price, but so does silence. No one can hide forever. If you want to unravel the burden that weighs on you, the answers are in the shadows, waiting to ensnare those who dare look." The winds howled outside, rain lashing against the windows, each drop piercing like a sharp reminder of the urgency slithering through the room. Jason glanced at every face surrounding him, each one a reflection of his turmoil. They were tied together, and he could feel the bond tightening. His reckoning was not just his alone. "Don't you see?" the stranger continued, their voice cracking. "Your freedom is entwined with your family's past, a past filled with deception. If you want to break the cycle, you'll need to confront those who've been silenced." Jason's mind raced, a tumult of images and feelings flooding through him. He had thought he was only facing his truth, but now it felt like his entire lineage was watching him, waiting for a decision that could either shatter or liberate him. What more lay hidden in the shadows? I can't do this alone," he murmured, his voice barely audible over the storm. The newcomer stepped closer, urgency evident in their gaze. "You want to be alone, Jason. But if you choose ignorance, then more than just you will suffer." The tension thickened, and as the crowd huddled closer together, Jason felt the weight of countless burdens pressing on him. The storm outside mirrored his internal chaos, and as he wrestled with this new reality, he realized that his journey was just beginning. "Will you face the truth?" the woman asked, her intent piercing through his resolve. Silence enveloped them as they awaited an answer that would determine not only his fate, but the fate of those who stood behind him. He took a deep breath, resolving to choose not just for himself, but for all the lost voices lingering in the dark. The storm may have raged outside, but it was nothing compared to the tempest inside him. Would he shatter under the pressure, or rise to confront the ghosts that haunted him? As the wind screamed outside, Jason took a step forward, feeling every heartbeat echo like a drum signaling the war within. But the crowd's gasps severed his thoughts, reminding him that the unknown still loomed behind the veil. What lurked in the shadows, waiting for Jason's next move. Jason stood at a crossroads, tension coiling around him like a serpent ready to strike. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil brewing within. It was more than just his personal battle now. He could feel the weight of collective secrets that grew heavy in the air. Each heartbeat was a countdown. The decision he was about to make could either liberate him or plunge him deeper into despair. Will you face your truth? The woman's voice pierced through the chaos, demanding his answer. The crowd held its breath, eyes glued to him, awaiting whatever flicker of courage he could muster. The words stuck in his throat. Memories rushed back, moments of seeing his father as failures, of choking on unsaid apologies, of burying anger deep within like a dormant volcano. I don't want to hurt anyone, he finally exclaimed, half-desperate plea escaping him. But it's not just about not hurting others. It's about not hurting yourself, the newcomer interjected, voice steady amidst the storm. You're trapped, Jason. You've inherited darkness, but you can also inherit light. You get to decide what legacy you carry forward. An internal war raged within him. The concept that he was destined to repeat history sent chills down his spine. He glanced sideways, catching Sarah's concerned gaze, her eyes pleading with him to untangle the chaos entwined in his heart. Then, something shifted in him. A soft flicker of resolve ignited. I'm tired of running, he whispered, the confession pulling at his soul. He lifted his chin, determination boiling to the surface. I want to pass this on. If I have to dive into my past to save my future, then that's what I'll do. Silence blanketed the room as his words hung in the electricity-laden air. Jason took a deep breath, channeling that courage, willing himself not to back down. I want to face the truth. Whatever it is, whatever cost it brings. Bring it on. A collective gasp swept through the audience. In that moment, he felt a shift. The air crackled, tension transformed into cautious hope. The woman's expression softened, a glint of approval in her eyes. Brave choice, Jason. But remember, truth has teeth. Let it bite, Jason declared, his voice steady, the weight lifting just a fraction. He could feel the shadows receding. For the first time, he didn't feel alone on this journey. One by one, others began to step forward. Each person summoned their voice, airing their truths. The storm outside thundered, but inside, revelations flowed like a river, breaking the dam of silence that had held them captive for too long. A woman confessed her hidden struggles with addiction. A man shared the fears of inadequacy that had plagued him. Each truth breathed life into the crowd, igniting flames of strength hidden beneath protective layers. It feels lighter, Sarah murmured, drawing closer. Jason looked at her, and in her eyes, he saw a deep yearning for honesty too. He reached for her hand, and as her fingers entwined with his, he felt the electricity of connection, real connection. What do you fear, Sarah? He asked, heart racing with the urgency of shared vulnerability. I fear losing myself if I expose too much, she admitted, her voice a soft tremor. What if I'm not someone people want to love? What if you don't love me after this? Jason tightened his hold. I'm with you, no matter what. We're in this together. Encouraged, she took a step back toward the center, addressing the crowd. The truth sets us free. I fear losing everything I love, not because of who I am, but because of what I hide. The room resonated with every heartbeat, every voice merging in a symphony of shared truths, amplifying the strength within. The mysterious woman smiled, pride painted across her features. Now you are ready to confront your demons, but the journey has just begun. These closing moments are only the first ripple. Jason felt the weight of the moment sink in, the enormity of their choice rippling outward like the storm that raged outside. They were facing the darkness together, the unknown armed with the strength that only truth could bring. He could sense that this was a turning point, not just for him or Sarah, but for all of them. There was an urgency in the air, a realization blossoming in Jason's chest as he faced his newfound resolve. He could weave a tale that was just about pain. He could create a legacy that spoke of healing. As the furious winds howled, he held tightly to Sarah's hand, prepared to step boldly forward into whatever still lay shrouded in shadows. They were ready to embrace the storm and with it, the journey of their lives. The crowd moved closer, their voices now a chorus of unity, as they cheered each other on, ready to embark on their new paths. Together, as one, they began to step away from hidden pasts toward brighter futures, hearts alight with newfound purpose, the storm finally subsiding to reveal clearer skies ahead. This was just the beginning of their journey of promise etched in the strength of candid vulnerability. And as they moved forward, Jason understood the fundamental truth. Sometimes the scariest leap leads to the sweetest freedom. And as breaths turned into laughter, somewhere amidst the chaos, hope took hold. If you enjoyed this journey, didn't you? Now imagine even more exclusive stories awaiting you. You need to subscribe now so you never miss out. Smash the like button on this moment, you know how much it helps. Don't wait even one more second to share this newfound journey with at least 5 friends who need some inspiration. Your voice is powerful. Your stories matter. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and reactions. This is the moment to show your support.